Hello, welcome to Camino Island. I'm Timm Eichhorn, the long-standing chef at Skagit Valley Hospital, and we're cooking today salads here on the wonderful beach here on a sunny day, and therefore I have to put my glasses on. And the first item I will cook for you is a summer salad. What I'm going to show you today is how to make the decoration underneath the plate very stunning for your guests, so they're really appreciated. And so what I'm going to use cucumbers. Cucumbers are really very versatile because they have a white center and have a dark outside, green dark outside. And obviously I washed my vegetable very thoroughly. And so I'm going to use a black plate, so we have a little bit of a contrast there for dramatic effect. And with the salads we have a vinaigrette. That in the vinaigrette we have mustard, we have honey, we have fresh tarragon, a little of garlic, olive oil, vinegar, and salt and pepper here for the outdoor, as you can see, equipment-wise. We're adding a little bit of almonds, and I also use beets. As you can see with the beets, I roasted those in the oven. You can boil them, but roasting will bring more flavor out. As soon as they come out of the oven, we're going to peel them because it's much nicer for them to peel them. I cut them a little bit in advance, so you might be a good idea to wear gloves because otherwise you get pretty red finger, but you know, it's a healthy thing. And what I'm also going to use is radicchio. Radicchio is a leaf lettuce that has a trunk right in the middle here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, and I use this more like to hold the salad together as a also for contrast and for good lookings. So first we're going to start with the cucumber. So the cucumber, we cut the length of the table that we need, about here. So right there, that's what we need for measurements. And then I use you can use a peeler if you're more comfortable with that. And I show you, just run the peeler all the way across. The first slice we don't need, we just throw it, since we're on the beach, right here. And then we run the peeler one by one, and you create pretty thin slices. Therefore, they're very easy to operate. You just run it across, and if the vegetable peeler don't cut the edges anymore, you have probably one more cut, then we have to actually turn the cucumber over because it's getting too wide. And again, the first piece we really don't need. We discharge that right behind me, kind of leisurely, and then we go again like this, and one more here. And what we do here now is we actually create a little, let's call it a little carpet, a little bottom for the salad we're going to do this. So we're going to grab our plate, we're going to move this right on here, and we take each slice now and we lay it down, and next one down here. And we try to have the same distance between each dark line, so you see the dark and the white, or the green and the white filling. Run it like this. And the good thing is you can do a lot of variety things with this. You can cut it round afterwards, or you can leave it there. It looks like we need a little bit more, so I'm going to cut one more here, one more, and maybe one more for good measures. Probably much use this side up pretty good, and right here. So right now, as you can see, we created a bottom on this plate. And what we do now is, because it's kind of a little bit uneven, so we run it with a sharp knife and run this right here to cut it evenly off. So we discharge this, and we're creating, look, you see how uneven this side is and how straight this one is. And it's nice, we have the round and then we have the square as a contrast, and it makes it more appealing and more attractive. You can do all kinds of things. You can use square plates with a round shape. You would put a little plate over it and you cut around it. So all we're trying to do is a bottom for our plate. It's really almost just for decoration purposes only. So the next thing would be, we're going to put this aside. The next thing is our radicchio, and I take a sharp office knife, or paring knife we call it, and then we just poke in here. We support with a thumb so we don't go too deep, and we hold it firm. And we go in a round motion to remove the inner part of the radicchio. And what it does is it actually loosens, it enables us that the leaves will come free, and so we can work with them. Of course, sometimes they're a little stubborn. So you see it comes right off. Put this over here, and you can go a little further. So now we're able to remove the outer leaves from this in order to create almost like a bowl. You see they stay shaped like this, and they have a nice contrast between red and white. So we can place them over here. We can do this now, or we can do it after we mix the salad, but it's up to your likings. So we're gonna have, I would suggest maybe 2, because then we'll still be able to see the underneath what we created with the cucumber. So we put this right there and put this aside. And now I'm gonna create my vinaigrette. And the vinaigrette, we use fresh tarragon, and we're gonna remove the outer leaves from the stem. And we don't need too much because it's just for one demonstration. Of course, if you need more, you would take more. Fresh herbs, always good. Of course, in the sun heat, they suffer a little bit, as you can tell. But so one more leaf over here. And so now we take a knife, nice sharp knife. I like the long bladed knife with a nice firm handle. And we hold the food, we kind of press it together with our fingertips. And if we run the knife, we're gonna hold it. We always run the knives like this, so the thumb is actually protected behind your fingertip, you can see here. And if you roll them almost like a tight package, and then you go in a round motion like this is the ideal way to cut your fresh herbs. In this case, it's fresh tarragon, and it goes very well with the vinaigrette that we're creating today. So for the vinaigrette, I'm gonna use this bowl. And first I'm gonna use a little bit of the, oh, that was a little from the summer heat. And then we do have a little mustard. And the mustard also helps us to stabilize the vinaigrette, because in the vinaigrette we have an oil, like in this case the olive oil, and we have vinegar. And if you just combine those simple, they would separate very quickly and become unappealing. And the mustard actually helps us to kind of bind them together as an emulsifier. So first we add our vinaigrette, our vinegar, balsamic vinegar, of course, always the good stuff, a little bit in here, like this. And the ratio is about 1 part vinegar and 3 parts oil. And the trick now is we have our whisk handy. You can use a mixer, but I just want to show you by hand, and then we just add the oil to it. Try not to be, and we use a very thin, I use my thumb, and to add a little bit of the oil to it, and keep mixing it up. I also use a little fresh garlic. I chopped this earlier, and fresh garlic tastes way better than the dried product. Put a little bit of honey in there, because honey and mustard, as you know, is a very, very good combination, especially for our salad. Just a little bit of honey in there, salt and pepper for the final touch over here. Pepper on the other side, and I use my good old camping style here as we're cooking in the outdoors. So now our vinaigrette is ready. And we're adding our fresh tarragon to it. Now we're going to set this aside, and so we add we have the mixed greens, spring mix. And you can be very creative yourself, whatever you prefer to put in it. I add like the beets. I talked about it in the beginning a little bit about the fresh beets that are diced prior. Here you see the product there. Put some in, very healthy for you, very good. A little bit of almonds. Make sure that none of your guests have any nuts allergies. Add this to it. You can add it in the end if you want to. I just mix it in for simplicity. And here we are. And the other thing I wanted to show you is tell you, is if you make a salad, most of them you're able to prepare all these items in advance, but always add the salad dressing to the very end. And otherwise it will get too soggy. So have everything ready, and we're almost ready to put this in here. Nicely coated, you see, and put it right in the middle. And therefore it's pretty simple, but the effect is really good. And you see now from the weight of the salad, the leaf will hold. And I'm gonna try to hold it a little bit so you can see this better. I don't want to overfill it. I think that's plenty. And here we have a salad served on a black plate for decoration for contrast with the underneath. You can go, like I said, you can go triangle underneath, you can go round, whatever you think, but it's a nice contrast. We have green, we have red, we have black, and this will be our first salad. Now the next thing will be a most amazing item. We're going to have a smoked salmon. I covered it up to protect a little bit. Smoked salmon served with quinoa and wild rice. I pre-cooked this. Very simple, about 10 to 15 minutes. Cook the rice, black wild rice. Quinoa, I prepared this, cool it down, open so the moisture will escape. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little cup like this. We put the salmon in here and fill it with our filling. And then we use this black plate and have a wonderful display underneath. So in order we start this first is we're going to put down, this is the measurements that we have. So we have the radishes that are pre-sliced, pretty thin as possible. So we kind of know how far we have to go. So I'm going to measure them like this. That should be fine on all four sides. So if we roll off, that's probably okay. And then I go back and forth with cucumbers. Obviously the cucumbers, I use the tip and I wash the vegetables pretty good. And first one we don't need, but so I kind of slice very thinly, and you can see the results are right there at the beginning and maybe the tip of it. And you can use the rest obviously for your salad following later or maybe the following day. So here we have the cucumber. We have the nice contrast between red and green and white. So we go back and forth between those two items, cucumbers and the radishes, and try to create a ring here, back and forth, cucumber and radish. And what we're trying to do is that I get a kind of a contrasty effect that we place our item on there later. And it's very simple. You can do this to impress your guests, have fun with it, do a little practice run. The ingredients are not expensive. Last piece come together, you lift it up. I'm going to move over, you can see it. So you lift and tuck the one in, so it's a continuous flow of our slices. Next thing is, I'm going to put it aside. Next thing is we're going to mix our ingredients of the quinoa. And as you can see, I measured kind of to have the same cup, so I kind of know what I need. Might be a little more, but more is not a big problem. Have a little spoon, mix it up. As you know, quinoa is very, very healthy for you. They call it the ancient food. And we combine it with smoked salmon. We get great protein here. And so what we do is very important. We're going to line this little container with saran wrap. And the saran wrap will actually help us later to get it out. So we're going to do it this way. Push it in with our hands. Use a knife, or you have a working saran wrap, not like mine right now. And of course, it's stubborn, of course. And so what we have now is, you see, we have the container. We put the saran wrap, put it pretty tight to the thing. And now we're going to add our salmon pieces. And the bigger the pieces, the better. This is cold smoked salmon. And we want to have it hang over a little bit. So therefore, you can have plenty of way to work with it. So I'm going to tilt it over a little bit like this. And sometimes these pieces are very, very fragile, very sensitive. And so the goal is basically to create an outer layer with smoked salmon. We push it against a little bit on the sides. Here we go. One more piece over there, see a little gap. And again, it takes a little practice. If it's not perfect, it will still taste wonderful. So you see here now, we're ready to fill it with our quinoa wild rice filling. And we push it down, and it creates, we don't want to go, make sure we pretty much almost flush to the end. And now we're going to fold in the existing corners, and we use our spoon to push it down a little bit. Push it down, put a little pressure. It's like building a little sandcastle, but with quinoa, right? So, and this just goes right in the middle. So it takes a little bit of aiming. We hold, maybe use a finger to hold it. Then we go down and let it go. And we'll pull it out. And we remove the foil, very carefully lift it off. And voila, here we have our piece. You can put it in the refrigerator, and the guests you can serve it by cutting it open like a cake, like this. I can try. So you go back pretty sharp knife so that your guests see what it is. Of course, it destroys a little bit of the display, so maybe we should leave it that way. So basically, here we are having a nice black plate contrast, smoked salmon with quinoa, wild rice, healthy dish. You could serve it as a main dish. It's a well-tasting and well-loved dish by your guests. And we'll be right back. I'll see you then. Oh, welcome back. We're going to do another wonderful summer salad, cooking right here on the beach. Beautiful day. And I'm going to use a watermelon. We use fresh fruit. We use blueberries. We use mango diced, fresh raspberries, strawberries, been washed before, so it's all safe and clean. And what we're going to do is I show you how to impress your guests with a nice display. We use a little bigger plate for display purpose, and we use a watermelon and my beloved cucumber again for display purposes. So we're going to use first the watermelon that I washed prior, and we're going to cut it in half with a large knife, and it cuts very nice. And this is a almost seedless one. They always tell you it's seedless, but it's not. And so what we're going to try to do is if you have trouble standing up, just give it a little, create a little foot there so it stands up easier. Use a big blade knife, long bladed knife, and cut medium slices, thick-wise, about 4 or 5 of those. And we're going to create them into something very different. And we put them over here. So before we actually do the salad, I'm going to show you the displays, because when the salad is ready, we want to be able to put it right on top of this plate that I have prepared here for us. So we're going to have we're going to cut it in half. And then what we do is, since it's a round plate, we continue the roundness of the watermelon. And we're going to run it in a fan-wise, as you can see. I'm going a little short here, so I'm going to have to get another piece. So one more slice, that should do it. Cut it in half. And as you can see, if you purchase a smaller watermelon, that will do the trick much better. Because the big ones, you don't have otherwise it becomes really big in your display. So what I'm going to do now is I have my cucumber here, and I'm going to cut angles like this. And all I do is cut a little. You can use the knife. Actually works better, than you don't have to worry about the width of your vegetable peeler. And I use my fingernails to grab into them. And what I'm trying to do is actually cut a little bit of 3-4 slices out of this. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to go corner to corner, diagonal, and this will be my additional decoration for the plates. And I'm going to place it right over the middle like this. And you can see the contrast is building up. And as usual, we're missing a little piece over here. We always make sure we're going to follow the same direction where I cut it open. And like I said, we're going to miss one more piece here. Very carefully slice one more, corner to corner. And remember, we have the white side and the green side. And so now we're tucking it under. And so now we're ready for our salad. So this is the base for the display and the salad. You can set anything you like on there, but we're doing a nice summer salad with fruit, and we're going to set this on top. So with the salad, we have it's a dressing. It's a poppy seed vanilla yogurt dressing, and it's really tasty, and it's a perfect match for the fruit that we're going to use today. So what we need is a little bit of a plain yogurt. And then we have a little bit of poppy seeds. And the poppy seeds are giving it just that extra little flavor that is so magic with the fruit that we're going to use today. We have a little bit of vanilla extract. And now we have our vinegar. And you just don't need much oil. You can actually leave the oil off. I just put a little bit in for texture, and a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper in my good old camping shaker, and we're going to whisk it up. So I hold it, you can see it. See the the poppy seeds are blending in well in there. So we put this aside, and be ready to make our salad. For the salad, I wanted just not the fruit. I need a little bit of green, so I'm using a romaine here, freshly washed. Cut my glass, cut a couple leaves off real quick. If they're brown on the bottom, we don't need those. So we're gonna cut them in the right length that we want them. And we're gonna add them to our bowl right here. It's very simple. Use the blueberries in there, our mango, our raspberries, and I forgot to cut the strawberries because I wanted to show you how. Simple, cut the end stems off, make sure they're washed. And what you do is you want to cut them. You can cut them either way. You cut them, slice it, or you dice it. Make sure there's no greens left. Right through the middle, right on top. Here we are, and we also have our feta cheese that comes right over the top. So we don't have to do this. We don't want to mix it in. So we're gonna put our dressing in the salad mix. Here we go. Here we can see it. Mix it all nicely in, and you can see the fruit is blending well. The romaine gives the structure, and we place it right in the middle of our salad here, of our plate, I should say. The fruit is coming out all over, and this could be served obviously for more than one person, but I do it a little bigger so it's a nice way to see this. There's one strangler down here. Put this over here, we don't need that. And now we have this feta cheese, and I prefer to buy a full piece so you can choose the size of your cubes. So I'm gonna go 1 or 2 or 3 slices. Here we go. We don't need more. And then we have, and that again, it gives a little bit of, because it's a very sweet tasting salad, and the feta cheese has a little bit of a nice tardiness to it, and it will give a nice contrast, also color contrast right on top. And here we have a fabulous summer salad cooked right here on the beach. You're gonna enjoy it, you and your friends and your guests. You're gonna like it. We're on to our final salad now. It's going to be a Caprese salad with tomato, mozzarella, and fresh basil. My idea was today to show you, instead of putting it on a plate or in a bowl, I'm going to use martini glasses. They're very attractive. They bring out the product up higher than they actually, instead of a flat plate. So first we're going to do the salad. That's why the glass will be a little more stable. Obviously we're outside, so it's a little bit more wiggly, but no problem there. So here we have our tomato, and make sure you have grape tomatoes. It's hard to find them in the same size like the mozzarella balls. These are fresh mozzarella balls, so and they're for that purpose kind of nice because now we have 2 round items. They work here well. And we also have some fresh basil. Here's the fresh basil product before I tip the leaves off. I'm gonna roll it like a roll basically. Make it very tight. I put my thumb right behind there and cut. And one thing with basil is you don't want to chop it. You want to cut it, because if you chop basil, it will turn black. It's another little trick I learned over the years. So cut it very fine. As you can see, take a little practice, take your time, don't cut yourself, it's not worth it. So, and here we have our fresh cut basil. We put it right in here. And now we're gonna add our balsamic glaze. It's a little sweet, so that goes very well. I'll squeeze on there. And I'm gonna mix it up with my spoon, and therefore I get the flavor of the balsamic on all the surfaces of my ingredients that I'm trying to prepare. We might need a little more just in case, because the martini glass looks, it's pretty full. Not full, it's pretty tall. One more here, and we're gonna roll it up, and carefully we put it in our glass. If you really want to spend the extra time, you can do layers. If you have a bigger glass, layer of white, layer of red. But so I might have to move this over a little further. See it over here. And so we're going to fill this. And this is a nice appetizer. You can serve it with a piece of nice crusty rustic bread that I'm going to skip today because I really don't have the oven down here at the beach. But here we are. So this is done, but now I'm going to show you a little bit of an interesting display. And again, here's my cucumber. Cucumber, I'm going to use the washed cucumber. I use a vegetable peeler, and I'm going to slice a piece, and do maybe 1 or 2 just in case. And you don't want to go too deep. You want to be able to flex it around a little bit. And I'm going to create a little bit of a flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, or the length you like it. Here we go. And this will run, and you can bend it a little bit, especially if it's wet. And so you can, and then you have another one, maybe a little more skinny one like this. That will create our side branches, if you want to call it that way. Here we go. Put this over here, and another branch over there. Very simple to do, actually, as you can see. You just put the peel, and we just bend it a little bit here. So what I'm going to use now is use a fresh and a small leaf of the basil as my outer leaves for my creation here. And you tap it on there. You can put a little oil in it, that makes it more shiny if you like to. And do the same thing on the other side. So this is the beginning of our little flower. Here we have our fresh mozzarella. I'm trying to get a nice slice out of it. So we're going to use this. We can form it back to make it as round as possible. You can cheat it a little bit by cut it off, but I think you get the point. You could cut one of those in half, but I wanted to show you how else to use this. So this is the beginning of this. And then we're going to use the regular Roma tomatoes. Don't use the regular one. Use the Roma tomatoes because they're skinnier and they have a nice aroma. And you kind of cut fairly thin slices of the Roma tomatoes to create the leaves. And again, you can, in this case, because we're running out of room there, I'm going to cut them in half and create my little leaves for the display on my flower. You can do a reverse. You can do the mozzarella on the outside and have a red center there. In this case, here we have the contrast. And then we're going to add to the, basically the blossoms of our little basil plant that we created here, the botanical side of me, I guess. So we're going to turn it over. So here we are, we created a beautiful appetizer, Caprese salad, and I use the same ingredients. We have the basil, we have the tomato, we have the mozzarella as a little flower in the bottom. And you can be very creative. You make more lines, you make more branches, you do white, red, or red, white, either way. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.